The fifth stage is data collection and research. Let us think of any research, it all starts from the data that we collect. Literature gathering is different, data is different. Literature will be about anything and everything related to our research area. But data will be specifically on the research problem that we have in our hand. These two are different, right? So, literature is about anything and everything about the research area that we have, but data is specifically, stipulately about the research problem we have in our hand. So, what are the ways by which we can gather the data? How we can organize the data? When we get different types of data, we have to sequence it, we have to file it separately, we have to study it in an organized way. So, data gathering and research is very important. Sometimes we may use different sources so as to collect the data. And when we are analyzing the data, like case studies and all these kinds of things can be gathered very easily, right? So when we do a research on that, it may not be conclusive enough for us to come to a conclusion, to conclude our research. So how extensively we may have to go about it, we have to think about it. Sometimes we may go into the people, go among the people, into the society with this well-planned questionnaire. Sometimes what happens is the responses that the people give us, they also may not be conclusive enough. So what kind of alterations we may have to do in the way we ask the questions, or how differently we may have to look into the responses that we get when we ask those questions. Collecting the data and research. The next stage is data analysis and interpretation. Now we sit back, take data one by one, analyze it. We ask questions to the data that we have. We try to gather answer from that. Means what? How we can understand the data we have gathered. Each and every response that we get has to be studied in a detailed manner so that we will get the conclusions out of that particular responses. So collecting data is another step. Analyzing data and interpreting those details is a different step. Those interpretations matters because we get a fresh content, a fresh idea out of those responses. That is definitely going to play a very pivotal role as far as our research is concerned. That is very important. So analyze the data. Now, we have the research problem. We have already gathered the objectives of the research. We have the literature with us. We have gathered the data. We have analyzed the data. We have everything in front of us. Every single thing in front of us. Now, we start to write the dissertation. We divide the data into chapters and we now start to write. Writing the dissertation is the next step, the seventh step. When we start to write a dissertation, as I said earlier, it has to follow a systematic structure. A structure that is usually suggested by the institution. So most often they will have an abstract, an introduction, and the entire content will be divided into chapters, like a literary review will be there, the review of the entire literature that you have gone through, the methodologies, the details of the methodologies you have used in that particular research, then the result that you have come up with after gathering the data, then the discussions that you had with your supervisor or the committee members, the outputs that you got from them, the conclusion, the achievements of the objectives by the end of the research. So this is a stipulated structure, the structure that is prescribed by the institution. They have to be followed. So when we start to write, we have to do it in the compartments as it is prescribed in the structure. One by one, neatly, we have to organize it. The most important aspect is about dividing the chapters. Mostly after explaining the methodologies, when we start to analyze the data we have gathered need to be divided into different chapters. How we sequence it, how coherently we organize the data in that particular write-up, these things are important. When we do the research, we might have got some feedbacks as well. Maybe some from some peers, maybe from our supervisor or the committee members. Those things also can be included in the research as well. How they have influenced our research also can be mentioned. But when we sit to write this particular dissertation, we have to make a plan. Dissertation writing can never be completed in a single day or on a single sitting. So if we have to design it, think solely about the introduction. For example, think about introduction. What are the things that we have to include in the introduction part? What are the subsections that we need to mention in that? Plan that first, complete that in a couple of days, make sure that everything is well set in that, and then go for the next. That is the best way by which we can complete a dissertation. So when we sit to write, make it sure that we are following a plan systematically so that we do not mess up with the project that we have in our hands, but we complete it in a systematic way. The next stage, the 8th stage, is about editing, proofreading, and formatting. So writing is a continuous process where even though we do it with utmost care, to err is human, it says. There are still some possibilities for us to make some kind of mistakes in what we write. So those things need to be addressed at least after completing the write-up. Sometimes we may come across a mistake at the time of writing itself. It's okay, no problem, we can change it. But sometimes what happens is at the time of writing, we may overlook it. The next stage is very important. This proofreading and reviewing is very important because that is a stage where we try to address these kinds of mistakes which might have crept into our writing. We have to address them, rectify them, and make it a foolproof content. We ourselves may be able to read it, we can do it by ourselves, but when we write it and when we try to proofread it, sometimes this mistake can skip our eyes. It's a problem. So we can take the help of our peers or friends or even the committee members also to go through that once and come forward with some suggestions. So they may be able to identify the mistakes and bring it to your notice, and you can rectify them and go ahead. But make it sure by the time we submit it, it never has any such a kind of mistakes. And most importantly, we are supposed to make citations on every page. Again, institutions might give us some kind of guidelines regarding the citations that we make. Every page, if we have mentioned some particular data from some particular source, a definite source, that has to be mentioned there. That is called a citation, which we usually do in the bottom part of the page. That has to be double checked. Those citations need to be double checked. Once the writing is done, then it is a time for the presentation. When we present it, there can be n number of questions coming up against it, supporting it. Then it is our responsibility to defend our findings. So the 9th stage is defense and revisions. After completing the write-up, it may run into 200, 300, 400 pages. but we cannot go and read every page in front of the committee or the audience. So we have to make a separate presentable aspect of the entire research, which should have every single thing that we have done in the research in a what we call in a summarized manner. There should be a summary of the literary review we have done, a summary of a concise description regarding the methodology we have used, the kind of data collection methods we have used, the details regarding the data we have received, some statistical explanation kinds of things, the depth of research we have gone, the things we have found in the research, and the outcomes, the objectives. So the people who sit in front of us during our presentations will definitely come with some kinds of doubts. We should have the detailed knowledge and understanding regarding the topic so that we can defend it. Remember, if we are not able to defend a point that we have come up with in the research, it makes that there are loopholes still remaining in our research. It can never make a foolproof research, and we cannot even claim that. So make it sure that we are ready to answer any kind of a question related to the research problem that we have in our hand, not anything else. Not anything else. Related to this particular problem, whatever questions the audience have, we must be able to answer them specifically. That is important. Now, if that is also done, the presentation is done, then it is a time for final submission. We will submit to the committee. They will go through that. They may, as we have already completed the presentation, if there are any kinds of suggestions that they have to make, they may make it there itself. And if everything goes well, then it can be submitted. It will be approved as well. After getting approved, we have an opportunity. If you want, you can go and publish it. There are a lot of journals through which we can try to do that, or we can publish it as an independent work. We can think about the scope of it, and making it public could be always good, because as I said earlier, in case if anyone else in the future want to do a detailed research on the almost the same area or the much related area to what we have done, it will be definitely helpful for them. So these are the 10 different stages that are included or that are there in making a dissertation. So the coming sessions will be actually a detailed analysis of almost each and every stage, each and every section that are included in the process of making a dissertation. Meanwhile, there will be sessions about different methodology. Along with that, definitely there will be sessions, separate sessions about different types of research methodologies, kinds of things as well, which will be definitely useful for them. So please wait, they will be online. Thank you.